Do you love your commanders, but do you worry that they might get lonely in the command zone without a friend? Well, if that's the case, then you'll love having two commanders with the ability Partner. Today, we are breaking down the Partner ability in Commander. First, we'll take a look at the history of Partner, learning why it was so busted at launch and how it became nerfed. Second, we'll look at when to consider playing Partner, helping you decide when to actually embrace the Partner ability based on your goals. And lastly, how to pick the perfect partner, giving you a secret stash of Commander partners to consider building around. Partners can be stupid good in Commander. So good that the original printings helped go on to create one of the strongest deck in the history of the format. We'll take a look at that deck and break down how Partner makes it so strong. You don't need to be a CEDH player or even have a big budget to make Partner commanders a problem at any table that you sit down at. Now, Partner is often misunderstood for new players or casual players who have never interacted with the ability. So we want to finally give you the perfect rundown on how to play Partners in Commander. So what the hell is Partner? Partner is a keyword ability that allows a player to have two commanders in their command zone, noting that you can only have two commanders if both cards have the keyword Partner printed on the card, allowing that player to cast them both freely at will. Both commanders are treated individually for their tax based on how many times they've been respectfully casted. Having a Partner commander also reduces the number of cards in your deck from 99 to 98, still only allowing for 100 cards total in your deck. The two partners you choose do not need to share the same color, but when combined, create the legal colors now allowed in your deck. And just a quick note that you cannot have two of the same commanders even though they both say Partner, because even with Partner, it's still a singleton format. It's important to quickly call out that Partner and Partner with are not the same thing. Partner with is an alternative take on Partner. Partner with has a restriction on who exactly it can be partnered with. Now, there are a few more variations of the Partner ability, but in order to not get too lost in the sauce, we'll discuss those after we break down the rich history of Partner. But did you know that the first Partners were actually not even sanctioned by Wizards of the Coast? Before we ever saw the ability Partner printed on a card, people were rule zeroing one specific card in Commander. And that card was Brothers Yamazaki from 2004's Champions of Kamigawa. The partnered commander featured both left-facing and right-facing artwork. Brothers Yamazaki is a 2/1 legendary creature for 2 generic and 1 red. It has Bushido 1. Whenever this creature blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. If there are exactly 2 permanents named Brothers Yamazaki on the battlefield, the legend rule does not apply to them. Each other creature named Brothers Yamazaki gets +2/+2 and has haste. Perhaps this is not the strongest partners commanders we'll see today, but it is a fun fact from pre-Commander history. Personally, I find it fun to see Wizards of the Coast taking notes from player designs. Speaking of, when did Wizards actually introduce the Partner ability? It was included in one of the most beloved Commander precon launches of all time. The year was 2016, and Commander players got a banger of a lineup from the precons that were released. These precons included Breya, Ethereum Shaper, Kanaios and Trio of Melentis, Saskia the Unyielding, Yitteris, Maelstrom Wielder, and who could forget everyone's favorite lady, Atraxa. Praetor's voice, yay. This set was truly amazing design and value, and these precons have aged incredibly well. However, it's not the precon commanders that we're interested in today. It's the alternative commanders that were included. These were the first partner commanders ever printed and the only time that we've gotten dual colored commanders with Partner. Plus, these precons marked the first time ever that 4-color commanders could legally be played from the command zone. Each precon came with 3 legendary creatures that had the Partner ability. These precons featured beloved characters from MTG lore, plus new card designs that had everybody very excited. Now, there are far too many partner commanders to be covered in this single video alone. However, given the importance, influence, and power of the original partner commanders, we'll go over the original 15 quickly. In the Entropic Uprising precon, the first partner commander included was Thrasios, Triton Hero. For 4 generic, scry 1. Then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land, put it into the battlefield tap. Otherwise, draw a card. If you're generating infinite mana, this is an amazing mana sink. Also in Simic was the included Kaidel, Chosen of Krufix. Tap, add generic for each card that you've drawn this turn. And lastly in this precon was Vile, Smasher the Fierce. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, choose an opponent at random. Vile Smasher the Fierce deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to that player or a planeswalker that player controls. And just as a reminder, in this specific precon, given the colors of the cards, you can only pair Vile Smasher the Fierce with one of the Simic partner commanders. This is because you can only have 2 partner commanders, and because of the mana base in this specific precon. But if you desired to, you could pair both Simic commanders together in another deck that was built with the proper legal cards. With the partner ability, you can mix and match as you see fit. In the Entropic Uprising precon, first up is arguably one of the most powerful commanders with partner, Tymna the Weaver. Tymna has lifelink. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt combat damage this turn. If you do, draw X cards. It's just such good value. Then there's Ravos, Soul Tender. It has flying, and other creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Lastly in this precon is Tana, the Bloodsower. Of course it has Trample, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. Then we have the precon Breed Lethality. The first partner here is Rayhan, Last of the Abzan. It enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever a creature you control dies or is put in the command zone, if it had 1 or more +1/+1 counters on it, you may put that many +1/+1 counters on target creature. Then we have Ikra Shadiki. It has Menace. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Toughness? Hot damn. And lastly in the Atraxa precon is Ashai, Ojutai Dragon Speaker. It has flying. And whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. The next precon is Stalwart Unity. The first partner is Ludwig, Necro Alchemist. At the beginning of each player's end step, that player may draw a card if a player other than you lost life this turn. Then also in Izzet, there's Crom, Ludwig's Opus. It has flying and haste, and whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. Much value. And lastly in this precon is Sidar, Kondo Uchimura. It has flanking, and creatures your opponent control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. Very helpful in a go-wide strategy. And in the last precon of this amazing set, we have Invent Superiority. First in this precon is Akiri, Lineslinger. It has First Strike and Vigilance, and it gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control. Then also in Boros colors is Big Sexy with the Mustache, Bruce Taro, Brewish Herder. Whenever Bruce enters the battlefield or attacks, target creature you control gains double strike and lifelink until end of turn. Nasty, nasty fun. And lastly in this precon is Silas Wren, Seeker Adept. It has Death Touch, and when it deals combat damage to a player, choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. Nice, dude. Now these partner commanders really set the tone of what partner commanders would be for the future of the ability. This being both because of strong designs, but also because we would never see a dual colored commander with partner again. So that means when new partner commanders are released, these 15 are often heavily considered when thinking of who to pair with. Now 2 years would go by until we saw the next Magic card printed with the word partner on it. However, it would look and feel a bit different. 2018's Battle Bond is a set that was designed for Two-Headed Giant, which if you've never played Two-Headed Giant, you should change that ASAP. If you love Commander, you will probably love Two-Headed Giant. Now this set was specifically focused on draft and was not legal in standard or modern. And it included the keyword ability partner with, then clarifying who that partner was. So this was not partner, this was partner with. Additionally, there was an ETB trigger that stated when this creature enters the battlefield, target player may put insert partner name into their hand from their library, then shuffle. And the fun part was that if you both had the card in your deck, that means you could decide who tutored for it. But in Commander, this meant that your second partner with Commander needed to be in the command zone and not in the 99 cards of your deck. It operates the same way partner does, just with the stipulation of who that partner is. The extra ETB trigger to tutor for the other card is only if both are in the 99 cards of the deck in some other Commander deck. So let's take an example with Purr and Toothy. Purr Imaginative Rascal is a 1/1 monocolored human. If one or more counters would be put on a permanent your team controls, that many +1 of each of those kinds of counters are put on that permanent instead. Teams being irrelevant for Commander since we're not playing Two-Headed Giant. It is partnered with Toothy Imaginary Friend. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Toothy Imaginary Friend. When Toothy leaves the battlefield, draw a card for each +1/+1 counter on it. That is some nice synergy. And again, a reminder that none of these Battle Bond partner with commanders can be paired with the original partner commanders from Commander 2016. Another 2 years would pass and we'd get partner with, again in the spring release of Commander 2020 Precons, which was connected to Ikora, but this time being focused on Commander than just Two-Headed Giant. The partner commanders here were again the alternative commanders to the main Precon commanders, but it would be later that year that partner, original partner, was back in a big way, because with Commander Legends we saw over 40 new monocolored partners and reprints of the original 15. This was the first draftable Commander set. It was well received and got a ton of players excited. Now Commander brewers had so many new potential partners to brew with thanks to all of the new goodies. There was now just so much more room for originality. For the first time, it felt as if partner commanders were modular. Take any single partner commander and pair it with another and you get one theme. Then pair it with another and the theme becomes completely different. For example, let's take Dargo the Shipwrecker, a 7/5 giant pirate for 6 generic and 1 red. It has trample, and as an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice any number of artifacts and or creatures. This spell costs 2 generic less to cast for each permanent sacrificed this way, and 2 generic less to cast for each other artifact or creature you've sacrificed this turn. Let's pair this big beater with Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator, a 2/2 Siren Pirate for 2 generic and 1 blue. It has flying, and whenever one or more pirates you control deals damage to your opponents, you create a treasure token for each opponent dealt damage. Some good pirate typal synergy. But at its core, this deck is a bona fide treasure deck getting a ton of value from these 2 commanders. But now let's instead pair Dargo with Jeska, Thrice Reborn, a mono red planeswalker for 2 generic and 1 red. It can be your commander. Jeska Thrice Reborn enters the battlefield with a loyalty counter on her for each time you've casted a commander from the command zone this game. The first ability for 0, choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage to that player instead. Another ability to pay -X loyalty, it deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. Dargo plus Jeska becomes a Cheerio deck. In early turns of the game, you can quickly start swinging for lethal through commander damage. Or let's take a look at Sakashima of 1,000 Faces, a 3/1 human rogue for 3 generic and 1 blue. You may have Sakashima enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima's other abilities. The legend rule does not apply to permanents you control. This is by far one of the most popular partner commanders. You're essentially able to have a duplicate of any of the other partner commanders, while adding blue into the mix for extra goodies. And for new players out there, the legend rule doesn't allow for more than 1 legendary permanent with the same name to be on the battlefield under your control. So copying your commander becomes a challenging task. And Sakashima just speeds up that process by being only in your command zone. So let's pair Sakashima with Karak the Thumbless, a 2/2 goblin wizard for 1 generic and 1 red. It reads, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, return that spell to its owner's hand. If you win the flip, copy that spell and you may choose new targets for the copy. This card is so good on its own. Add an extra copy of that with Sakashima and it only gets better. The odds are literally more in your favor every time you cast a spell. If you win both coin flips, your lightning bolt went from dealing 3 damage to a single source to 9 damage spread out across any 3 sources. All for 1 red mana. Sounds busted to me, you freak. Now let's pair Sakashima instead with Tormod the Desecrator, a 4/2 zombie wizard for 3 generic and 1 black. It reads, whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. Doubling tokens can get quickly out of control. Sakashima is just like Sriracha. It makes anything that you pair it with so much better. Now before we move on to the strategy section of our video, I would like to call out a couple more variants of partner. The Battle for Baldur's Gate set introduced a partner-like ability called Backgrounds. The commander card text reads, choose a background, you can have a background as a second commander. This allowed a legendary enchantment to be paired with your commander in the command zone as long as it was a background. And there are some fun combinations here throughout the monocolored enchantments with the ability. Then there's Friends Forever, from the Stranger Things and Universes Within set. Another restricted partner ability that allows you to have 2 commanders as long as they both have the Friends Forever printed on it. And recently with the Doctor Who set, there's Doctor's Companion. You can have 2 commanders if the other one is a doctor. Perfect flavor for this set. But this really should have been called Partner with Doctor, mainly because Doctor's Companion sounds like it should be part of the ability Companion, which is somewhat similar to Partner, yet very different. To avoid confusion, I'm not going to go into detail on the Companion ability as it doesn't really come up much in the format of Commander. Just know that Doctor's Companion is not Companion, and Companion is not Partner. Makes sense? Confusing, right? So you might be asking yourself, should I play Partner Commanders? What's the benefit of it? First, which hopefully is obvious now, is that Partner Commanders are fun. Getting the opportunity to cast 2 commanders in a game adds new dynamics to your playstyle, but outside of pure fun, partners do come with a lot of benefits. Let's say you're wanting to build a life gain deck. You've looked at all the options, but you keep coming back to Aloro in the colors of white, blue, and black. Let's say that you really wanted to add the color green to this trio, because green is great in life gain and you want to play cards like Essence Warden or Prosperous Innkeeper. Atraxa is always an option, but everyone and their grandmother plays Atraxa, you freaks. But what about partners? Well, by using Ikra and Ashai as your partners, you're able to dip into the fourth color of green while still playing a theme that you have your heart set on. Partner commanders offer modularity, and if you're looking to play a theme but maybe aren't as picky on who the commander is, partner becomes a perfect solution. Or perhaps you want to build a pure clones and copies deck. Obviously, Sakashima is the choice here, and now you have a couple of options to take Sakashima one step further. You could use SCR Wardwing Familiar as a way to give your Sakashima and its extra copies Ward 3. Or you could dip into other colors and expand your cloning options, like using Yoshimaru Ever Faithful. Now you're able to blink more of your copy creatures, and that way you can keep copying more and more stuff as the game goes on. But in this case, Yoshimaru still does come with some extra value. Now, is dipping into an extra color actually that strong? Not by default, but if you know what you're brewing, it can be beyond powerful. And to prove this, look no further than one of CEDH's best decks ever, Blue Farm. Blue Farm is a toolbox combo deck with the partner commanders Timna and Crom. Blue Farm is so powerful because of the card advantage and general value that these two partner commanders bring to the table. And on top of that amazing value, the ability to have 4 colors gives this deck the ability to shift and scale no matter what deck it's playing against. The deck also has the ability to easily shift with the meta, giving itself access to the best white, blue, black, and red spells that are printed. White gives it access to all of its best stacks pieces. Blue gives it access to all the best counter magic to protect its combo pieces. That combo piece also being in blue with Thassa's Oracle. Black gives it access to the power of tutors and ramp. And red gives it some of the most powerful cards with Underworld Breach and Dockside Extortionist. Dockside Extortionist. This deck is not possible without the 2 original partner commanders that give it access to the best colors while also still providing amazing value. But enough about CEDH, let's talk about you. Let's say you found a single partner card you're completely in love with, like Kadama of the East Tree, a 6/6 spirit for 4 generic and 2 green. It has reach, and whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't put into the battlefield with this ability, you may put a permanent card with equal or lesser mana value from your hand into the battlefield. That's a strong green commander. And now you're looking for the perfect partner. Finding good partner synergy for your deck is by far the most important factor to consider. You could go Artifact Affinity and partner with Keskik the Flesh Sculptor, a 1/3 human artificer for 2 generic and 1 black. It reads, tap, sacrifice 3 other artifacts and or creatures, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Keskit speeds up the ability to feed the right cards to Kadoma. Or perhaps you want to go more of a big dumb creature route. Then you'd want to partner with Elena, Kessig Trapper, to achieve this goal. Elena is a 4/3 human scout for 4 generic and 1 red. It has first strike. And tap, at any amount of red equal to the greatest power among creatures you control that enter the battlefield this turn. This plays well into the big creatures theme, each partner feeding into each other, the goal of getting out the biggest dumb creatures as quickly as possible. As you've seen, a single partner can change given who it is paired with. Lastly, it's worth calling out the Commander Storm Cycle cards that were printed in Commander 2018. These are essentially storm cards that get copied for each time you've casted your commanders. Even if it gets countered, you get an extra copy for the cast. These are perfect when you're casting 2 commanders during a game. For example, if you cast each of your partners once, then cast Echo Storm, then you'll get to copy 3 artifacts, perhaps 3 soul rings. Hell, you can even brew up a new deck around these cards. When writing this video, my co-writer Sasha and I had a funny idea. What is the fastest way we could go all in on the card Skullstorm? We found Rogrok with Tavesh to be the best options, given we can cast Rogrok the most times, use a ton of tutors to find Skullstorm, and even protect it against counter magic by using red counterspells. So much creativity with partners. Now you're ready to start building with partner commanders. I hope that you find all this information helpful while brewing up double the fun. Are there commander partners that you enjoy playing the most? Or perhaps one that you're most excited to build? And most important, let me know in the comments which theme, typo, or color you want us to see cover next. I'm Nicplz, thanks for joining me. You freak.